Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back to another episode of One on One. Today, I have got Chris and Tyger. You don't mind me calling you Chris, do you?
Not at all, man. Chris,
Okay.
Logan, whatever.
All right.
Either way works.
From the Hildt. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you, Shadow?
I am doing great.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm doing good too.
Okay.
I just woke up not too long ago, so I had a nice, lovely cat nap.
No worries. I've been up like 2 hours. Had to make breakfast for the boys, and barely had time to do everything else that I normally do in the morning. But it's all good. I got a game tonight. Playing some Castles and Crusade with Bloodworth from Unscripted Unchained, and my son's got his last week of vacation going. Still getting over a cold he had for the whole vacation. So that
sucks.
Yeah,
it kind of does. But he actually took a bike ride to his old school, his middle school. He's in high school now to talk to the principal about using the school to film one of his projects. So what are you guys working on right now? Anything spectacular? Anything you want to talk about right off the bat?
we just have our Monday night games. Actually, this Sunday coming up, we're going to be doing Remember Van Kent. That's our Lenharo Fantasy Adventures game. So, but the one we're really working on is the military action game. So that one's going to be the following Monday night.
So any of this live or?
All of them are live, yes. All our
Okay,
games are live.
Hey, Hungar, how you doing, brother? Hope you're feeling better. Crafting Gamer, welcome to the show. Okay.
We do. Other than that, we just do our regular Friday show where we mess around and talk about movies.
Awesome. There's a lot of people doing that. I'm on a movie review channel as well, but I've missed a couple of them, and we're starting the whole new year out doing nothing but sci-fi movies, which is my jam. I cut my teeth on fantasy, but prior to that, as a youngster, all I knew was sci-fi, and that's where I sort of shine, I think.
I was Star Trek Next Generation there.
Yeah, I watched all that. I actually just watched the entirety of Next Generation last year and was amazed at how many things I didn't catch as a youngster. My friends and I, we'd be on the phone during the commercial breaks because the internet didn't really exist, and we'd be like just screaming at each other, "Did you see this, that?" And of course, I'm talking about the Borg episodes. A lot of the other stuff was just weird. I mean, even as a youngster, I saw that whole episode where they couldn't go beyond warp 5.5, and I'm like, "Gee, Sammy Hagar's, I can't drive 55. What are they trying to say here?" I'm not buying it. And Hungar, we know you're gonna just kick ass through the surgery, and then you'll be fine. Nerds, what's up? Hey, how you doing? Okay, I gotta ask the kind of the most basic of questions, because for me and my experience, I don't know that many couples that are gamers. What's up, Raven? How you doing? Long time no see. So tell us how you guys met and became the team that you guys are.
During game.
During a game.
We actually met in a game.
Awesome.
I did some gaming in high school with my friends.
Okay.
And out of high school, I was going to college, and a friend of mine invited me to a game, and I hadn't played in like a couple of years for a while, so I was like, okay, that sounds fun. I've done that before, and I liked it. And I went to a game, and he was the ref.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I ran AD&D second edition for probably well over a decade, real steady. We had
Okay.
a group that was probably about 20 to 30 strong, and we'd have 8 to 10 players a night, and we would game like twice a week. It was pretty cool.
Did you ever play anything prior to 2E?
Yeah, I played first edition, and I started with Beckby, basic BX D&D. I played Marvel Superheroes and BattleTech and a few things like that, but not a lot. But when Marvel Saga came out, I ran that pretty well for a while. That was a good game.
Okay.
Yeah, my first gaming experience was a little bit different. My friends were jerks. They didn't tell me this was an actual system. I thought they made it up. We were playing without any books or anything. We just had dice and paper.
Wow.
I didn't know there was a whole system or anything. I didn't know that AD&D was a book system. I had no clue whatsoever. I didn't even know the rules. We just came together. We would put all this stuff on the character sheets and just go.
That sounds like most of my players, except for one or two. Most of them did not own books, refused to read anything, and just put it all on me. And we played that way for 20 years. Some of us are still playing in the same campaign after 25 plus years. What's the longest campaign you've ever run? Like
probably 3 years. It was called Carnage. We're doing that same campaign live on our channel. We're calling it Ravagers of Carnage right now. It's pretty cool.
You mentioned a game that you've written. What can you tell everybody out there in TV land about it?
Well, I'll let Tiger go first on that one.
Which one?
Horror Fantasy Adventures.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so what he's talking about is Carnage. The first time we play tested Carnage, it was AD&D, but Chris didn't want to keep the players to know exactly what their ability scores and stuff were. So he made a makeshift sort of thing where he just said, okay, well, you have average strength and you have a exceptional agility, that kind of stuff. And I was kind of fascinated by that idea that was different from D&D. Our system isn't like that anymore, but the other thing that was unique about what he did on his Carnage system is instead of levels, we had levels, but we got to pick whatever skills we wanted. And we would use our experience points to purchase whatever skills we wanted. So that's how it basic started. We didn't really start writing the system until 2E went into 3E because we got mad.
Yeah.
I've
heard
we got so mad.
We basically had a ton of books.
I can't say I never played 3E. I played it once or twice in a play test last year, and I'm a 1E guy all the way. I use a lot of 2E things because to me they're like this. They just
right. They're the same, right? Very similar.
Yeah.
There's some limitations in 2E that I hated, so I just said I'm not doing that. The treasure was chintzier. The requirements were tougher. They screwed over the assassin, the ranger, the bard. But they did really good by the thief. They did really well by the magic user. The druid, they kind of screwed over, in my opinion. The clerics, they made better. Made it easier for a referee to create their own pantheons or what have you. And there were improvements, but there were, serious, they took out certain kinds of artwork and the demons and devils. That's what they are. Put a fancy name on if you want, but they're still demons and devils. Kiss my ass if you don't like that.
No, I did like the fancy names. They were still demons and devils. It was kind of fun to add the extra names, but they were still demons and devils.
And that was all to appease the mothers and fathers who were freaking out about the satanic panic.
Yeah,
I totally understand doing that, but to have them only come 180 now, where now they want you to play demons and devils. I'm just like,
right?
I mean,
Right?
what?
I'm like, you could play a demon now? What?
And I, I play a lot of Arduin, which has a lot of things. It doesn't have demons and devils as player characters because, duh. But it has a slew of, not even optional, but really strange character races, centaurs, and things like that. Weird, and they're a bunch of their own original stuff. So I have no problem adding, new races, provided everything sort of balances out. Because even though we hate that balance and equity kind of bullcrap, if you don't kind of start out a certain level with everybody, you end up with parties of nothing but what people perceive as the most advantageous characters. Like when the Drow came out in Unearthed Arcana, suddenly everybody wanted to run a Drow, and every DM was pulling their hair out because it's like, I don't want to run this campaign, but all my friends want to run, Drow, and that's kind of lame.
Yeah, I was excited about the Underdark campaign that they had that came out Night Below, and then I got it and I'm reading it. I'm going, I don't want to run this. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't my style.
Right. Mac's mom burned his first DMG and PHP in '81. Still mad for that. Yeah, that's $100 she just threw in the fireplace.
Oh, yeah.
And
a lot.
In retrospect, a lot of people talk about how hard it was to understand, and I'm like, really? I was 12 years old, and occasionally I'd have to look up a word, but lo and behold, most of those words were in the back of the book, so it really wasn't that, I learned a lot from reading Gygax's work, and right off the bat, if you've got the old monster manual and you've got the old or the second edition, I think it's the Dungeon Master's Guide where the treasure tables are. If you look at them, what changed is percentages are all the same, but what changed is the amount.
Right.
Okay. So you get less treasure, and it's harder to go up levels. Only to have them in third, fifth edition.
It seemed to me that from first edition to second edition, they made the characters more powerful and the monsters weaker. And it was like, why did they do that? So I basically used first edition monsters and a lot of second edition stuff. But
I found a big thing that skewed the game was the weapon specialization.
Oh yeah.
When they put that in, all I did was just give every monster 1 or 2 extra hit points per hit die, and it was like, okay, cool, you can hit and do more damage, but I'm not making my monsters weaker because of that. Suddenly, it's a guaranteed 1 hit on goblins and kobolds.
I kind of had an issue with level draining, so even when I was running first edition, I had decided that everybody was going to have max hit points, so I gave monsters max hit points too. So that never was really an issue for us, and it made it easier for somebody to level drain. We knew how much they were going to lose, and we knew how much they were getting back, and there was no confusion.
Yeah, I did something like that where I would just keep track of what they rolled for their levels. And in other games like Palladium, I had a system where at first level you get 6, second level you get 5, all the way down to 2, and then you go back to 6 again because nobody's rolling a 1 on a hit die. That's
right.
That's so defeating. I'm running a first level fighter in a Castles and Crusade game, and I'm like, and that's wing away from second level, and I just got this. I'm gonna roll a 1. I just know I'm gonna roll a 1. There's already a bunch of characters that are second level that are up at like 20 hit points because I didn't get a con bonus. So I'm like, I'm going to be the fighter in the front with the lowest amount of hit points in the campaign. I can just feel it. But they use crit tables, so with any luck, I'll just get killed and make up a new character. I'm just kidding, folks. Never try to kill your own character because you don't like it. Roll with it, run with it. You never know when that character is going to actually be the coolest character you ever ran because of all the adversity like baked into the character just because you got some crap rolls and things like that. Got a lot of your friends showing up. I see. That's awesome.
That's how it works. We share
it. There's so many people trying to tear this hobby apart.
Oh yeah.
And by doing things like that and branching out and hanging out with new people, we stand a chance of, voting with our dollars and letting those weirdos get the message that hey, we're not going to do that.
We're
We're
definitely
not,
trying to build it up instead of tear it down.
So
I like to encourage people with gaming because it does a lot of stuff for people. I know some people might not even think about some of these things, but we once had a gentleman join our group who was practically illiterate, and through gaming, learned to read and write properly.
I've seen
And
that many times. There's a friend of ours in the community, a couple with more or less learning disabilities, and I was a crap student until this game came along. I did not give a rat's. Mind you, my math skills never got that great. I barely passed high school.
well, you
Never
only need plusing and minusing in D&D, but still. It
Yeah,
does. I think I like to say, okay, this game actually improves a lot of things for people. It encourages reading and writing, which I don't think a lot of games nowadays do.
Nope.
It encourages learning your maths. It encourages your imagination because you got to think of these. You get all these puzzles that you have to try to figure out sometimes in dungeons. So, yeah, that's how I like to spin it. It helps broaden your horizons in your mind. And Chris and I, we like to do research. Like when someone wants to play a different strange weapon or something like that, we're like, oh, let's check it out and see what it was. That kind of stuff. So we learned a lot through research of the game system. Period.
Yeah. Mac Thompson here says it perfectly. 100%. D&D made me smarter in junior high. What's a sconce? Oh, okay. A portcullis. What's that? Oh, neat. Reliquary, scimitar, constitution. Yeah, our vocab's increased quite a lot, I should think. And then he goes on to say, not to mention our math and physical skills. Absolutely.
Right?
I learned a lot.
And when you mentioned reading, I remember I used to play a lot of video games, not so much anymore. And I remember every time I got a video game, my friends were like, yeah, throw it in. I'm like, nope. They're like, why not? Got to read the book. And now they don't come with a book.
No, they don't.
10 or 20 years ago, no more books. I'm like, why? How do you play the game? I want to read the book, but I'm not going to memorize it. I'm still going to be fumbling around with buttons and whatnot. But like, hey, certain things I can try to, force into my memory real quick, like where's this button or, the attack button or the jump button, things like that, and now you got to go in and use the online crap. And even then, most people don't bother with that.
Nintendo had their manuals ingrained in the game.
Right,
still.
That's what I was talking about. Now some of them, but even some games, they don't make it really. It's like it's a. Most people will just try to jump right in and just like figure it out, even if the manual is embedded.
Yeah, they spend the first half hour in a tutorial part of the game.
Right, which I despise. Like, let me, because it always feels like, having your hand held and being babysat like you're, 8 years old or something like that. And I'm like, guys, give me the book and then let me make my own mistakes. And, I guess for some people that's very helpful, but it would be easier if I actually read the book and, could read all the other little tidbits and sometimes there's lore in there and things like that.
Right. Or the artwork. I miss the artwork.
Right. Which would be like sometimes often very different from the art style in the game itself,
Right.
All those jobs that they hacked off, I understand, having been in the printing business, that they were saving a pretty big amount of money not printing the books, but I would have paid more money for a book if they had like no book, it's on the disc, it's not on the disc, or whatever, which would have, probably been, some sort of logistic nightmare for them. But I would really pay more money. And when on occasion I do go look for an old game, it's like, oh, no manual included. Oh, I'm not buying that copy. It's like, I want the manuals. Okay, real quick, what's your favorite video games, guys?
I think mine would have to be The Witcher 3.
Okay.
I like the Fire Emblem series.
Okay, I remember both those. I didn't play them, but I do remember. Actually, no, I think I played Fire Emblem, like the first one, Was it do you remember if it was on like the Game Boy or anything like that?
You know, I didn't get into Fire Emblem until the Wii. I got one Fire Emblem game on the Wii, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this game system is so cool because I like moving your characters individually on the board.
Right.
And yeah, and I love that. And that was my first experience with that. I know Chris had a couple of games that were like that. Was it Shining Force, I believe, was one of them?
Yeah, Shining Force on the Sega. That was an awesome game.
And then there was Final Fantasy Tactics, which I adored.
Yeah, I played a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics, so a lot of the Final Fantasy games. But
did you guys
ever Final Fantasy in general? Yeah.
What the heck was that? What was that freaking game? It was just on the tip of my tongue. It was like a Western game, not Red Dead, but it was like the PlayStation.
I can't say I've played very many Western games. I'm mostly in the RPGs.
It was like a Western style fantasy game. Oh my god, I can't remember what it was.
Wild Arms?
Yes.
That's the closest I can come to.
Yes, absolutely. I love those games.
Wild Arms was good.
Wild Arms was fun too. I love that. I love the little wind mouse.
The movement and stuff. But my favorite game of all time has to be Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. For the Xbox, they had it for the PC. Oh my god!
Is that a Star Wars?
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know if you guys are big Star Wars fans. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan.
I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I do like Star Wars.
I love Star Wars.
These were all 1,000 years.
I fell in love with The Mandalorian, by the way.
I have not seen that yet. I don't do Disney.
I would steer clear of the third season, but the first 2 seasons were good.
Well, once I can find it on the high seas, I'll give it a shot. But what was great about Knights of the Old Republic, it all takes place like 1,000 or more years before the movies. So there's nobody you won't recognize anybody. You'll recognize things like droids and technology, which is awesome. But it's just like this whole completely different story where all your choices add up, but it's a huge, very in-depth role-playing game with a lot of cool combat mechanics. If you ever get a chance to play it, a friend of mine actually gave me his old Xbox, sent it to me in the mail with a whole bunch of games just so I could play it because he stopped playing video games. I played those 2 games. I played the first one. I'm like, oh, that was awesome. Okay, now I got to take like a 2-month break because I know I will power through the second game. Even though it's longer, I'll power through it, and then I'll be like, oh, man. Because I hadn't played it since, it came out back in I want to say the 90s or something like that. But to this day, if you go look up role-playing games, it's consistently at the top of the list of best RPGs of all time. Hey, what's up, Derek? Long time no see, buddy.
Been meaning to check that one out. I just haven't ever gotten around to it.
If you ever get a chance, I'm telling you, unfortunately, it's only on the Xbox.
I think I've seen it on a few other things, but yeah.
Yeah, we don't have an Xbox. We got Nintendo Switch and PlayStation.
Yeah, I'm a big PlayStation guy too. I've had every PlayStation except the 3, and I've still got 3 PlayStation 2s, just so we can play the Star Wars Battlefront and a couple other games.
I would definitely like to pick up another PS2 because some of the games there was Fistful of Boomstick that I loved.
Fistful of Boomstick was fun.
Return of the King. A lot of those what do you call them? Franchises from movie deals. A lot of those games.
My son's a big Godzilla fan, so we've got all the Godzillas and War of the Monsters. Oh, that is still fun. 30 years later, we love that freaking game. Growing up when he was just a little tyke, he still would kick my ass.
I think the only monster one I had was Rampage.
We played some Rampage.
I love Rampage though. It was fun. I know you're just tearing down buildings and all, but it was fun.
Yeah,
plus you could eat people.
Playing that at the arcade, that was one of my favorite arcade games. Love that game.
I miss going to the arcade, man. That was. I know,
right? That was.
Oh, I totally miss the arcade.
And miniature golf and all the things that they might have at the the different, we had bumper cars, we had
Laser tag.
laser. Oh my God! Hell, even the roller rinks, roller skating. I missed that.
Oh, I went roller skating on my vacation. Big mistake. I got onto the rink and fell, and then bruised my rib.
Ouch.
I can't roller skate no more.
Yeah. It actually is, Mac. I've been noticing that too. I don't know what's up with my audio and video today. I'm a little off, but I'm just gonna roll with it.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that until just now.
And Derek says he loved G.I. Joe as a kid. He and his sister always would watch the cartoon in the late 80s. You guys are big G.I. Joe fans. What's up with that?
That's that one right there. I am surrounded by little men.
I collected from 85. I was basically a big Star Wars collector. Then I kind of fell out of it after Return of the Jedi, and I got into He-Man for a little bit. And then I found G.I. Joe, and it was like those figures were just so good. Even back then, in that time, there was nothing better than G.I. Joe. And I got into the comic book, and that sold me. I was done. Larry Hama comics for G.I. Joe.
Yeah, I hear good things. Believe it or not, since I'm older than you guys, I actually had a crap ton of the original G.I. Joes, the really, really big ones, like 12 plus inch, whatever they were, with the peach fuzz on the head.
Yeah, I never had any of those.
A neighbor kid gave me all his. He was getting older, and his mom said, give them away, which, now I wouldn't let my son give away any toy he owns, period. You want to sell them? That's fine.
Yep.
Let's go on eBay and find out what they're worth, because he was a huge Lego Hero Factory and Bionicle kid, even though Bionicle had come and gone 10 years before he got into it. But I was also a big, huge G.I. Joe, Super Joe Commander kid when I was a kid. One Christmas, I got like literally everything. My parents just spoiled us freaking rotten. They must have like robbed a bank or something. Kung Fu grip, bullet head, all that stuff. I even had the big white spaceship that opened up and had like 4 different vehicles. I mean, the thing was like over 2 feet long, just crazy good stuff. But then, with the gas shortage, the Kung Fu grip, all those hands don't exist anymore because they literally just rotted away. I've seen some people make some new things like that, some new Super Joes and whatnot, but they just don't have the identical look. They look different. They don't have the light up chest thing. Oh man, as a kid, that was like one of my absolute favorites, the freaking punching action and all that cool stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I did have a what was his name? A friend of mine was walking over to my place to play D&D, and he found a G.I. Joe, the one that looked like Jack Flack from the movie Top Secret or something like that. With Dabney Coleman. And I think his name was Slayer.
That was the name.
Dagger. Yeah. And we had this running gag in my room where we played D&D. When we got him, we like tied him up and hung him from something in the room, right? Just someone was goofing off, and they tied him up, and he was all, and then from that point on, somebody, when I wasn't looking, would like move him like he's escaping, and then eventually I saw him by the windowsill, because he was trying to get out the main window, and of course one day he escaped, and I don't know what happened to him. I think I ran over him with a lawnmower.
Oh.
I don't know, or somebody just took him and said he escaped, in my pocket, and I never saw him again. But somebody told me which one it was, and I saved it. I'm going to look for one and do the same thing here in the studio and just have him, trying to escape. But we're a second story up here, so if he escapes, I'm pretty sure he's going to take 100 D6 from the fall damage. So
sounds about right.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about G.I. Joe until I met Chris. I was not into G.I. Joe at all. When we got together, he made me watch all the cartoons that he had recorded. he had them on those old VHS tapes that he recorded from the actual
And off TV.
TV.
Those are the
And
days.
yeah, and he forced me to watch them all. Not that it was a bad thing.
No, you'd be surprised. I had the same thing with my favorite movie. Mac, take care. We'll see you later. Come on back if you want to watch the rest of the show. We appreciate it. My favorite movie of all time is The Watchmen. Okay, and I know there's some people. There's some things in there that I wish weren't in the movie.
Me too. I love that movie though, but it was.
Wait, is that the one with the owl guy?
That's the one.
And the blue guy with the okay.
Yeah, they could have cut that out, and nobody would have minded. Nobody would say, "Why did you cut that?"
I actually like that movie.
It's honestly a fantastic movie. Once you understand why he's walking around with no clothes on, and you can just like, okay, is it over? It's over. Okay, cool. Back to the movie.
Yeah, back to the movie. It was a great movie.
And it's. I actually think it's actually better than the comic book. In some ways, not always, but there are some things about it that are better. And I wanted my son to watch it. I waited my whole life for him to be able to be old enough to sit there and watch with me. And he's like, "Oh, I don't want to watch the Big Blue." And I'm like, "Neither do I, son." But trust me,
right? That was such a shocker because you're like watching this movie and it's a really cool movie, and he comes out and you're like, "Huh?"
And I said, "Look, just watch 15 minutes. If you don't like it, you can just take off, and I'll keep watching it." And I'm watching him more than the movie, because I've watched it 100 times. I'm watching, I'm looking. Then he's just like, his eyes just like, gigantic saucer-sized eyeballs. That was funny to see me do that after the fact.
I can't think of the actor's name, but the dude that played Negan in The Walking Dead was in that. And he did a great job of that too.
Oh yeah.
That movie. He was awesome.
I want to say Harry Morgan, but that's actually played
Jeffrey Morgan, I think his name was.
Yeah. He was also in I think Grey's Anatomy, where he played Denny. I only know that because I was videotaping it for my mom so she could watch it when she woke up. And he was also in, of course, Supernatural, where he played the coolest dad ever, and other things I'm sure that I'm unaware of. But and he wasn't even my favorite character, but he was perfect. And, it was one of those things, where you hear a bunch of crap or you go into it with the wrong idea, then you watch and you're like, oh my God, where's this been my whole life? This is so much better than I've been led to believe. Same with G.I. Joe. I every time I talk about it with other folks, they talk about the comic book and how amazing it was, and I'm like, now I gotta go buy those comic books, which is okay.
I mean, Larry Hama is basically still writing it. He went over to IDW, and then now he's back with Image writing it. And I've read the first two, 301 and 302. They're not bad. It's definitely interesting to throw the zombie aspect into it, but I think Robert Kirkman is like the editor-in-chief of the production company that signed him on the Image. So it's interesting, at least.
Well, it came at the perfect time because this year one of my New Year's resolutions was, instead of buying so many games that I'll never play, it's to buy, comic books. That way I get inspiration. There's so many great old comic books from back in the day. I'm reading a lot of Kazar, of course, Vampirella, Elric, all of the great fantasy novels that were thrown into comic books, and some of my favorite, not necessarily superheroes, but other things. A lot of Jonah Hex, a lot of Creepy and Eerie magazine, things like that are full of ideas I can borrow for my role-playing games. And Derek, my favorite movie, I wrote that in there for you, is The Watchmen. Just phenomenal movie. The beginning, the first 5 minutes with the music, Bob Dylan. Not like a huge Bob Dylan fan, but that song was just perfect. The fast forwarding of the time was just like one of the greatest pieces of cinematography I've ever seen to this day.
I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I have a favorite movie myself. I love a lot of movies, but I think one of the ones that was really well done was the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
seems like movies
Absolutely.
have kind of went downhill since.
When Gandalf falls and it goes silent,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, oh my God, that scene is so incredibly powerful, especially if you've ever been in like a combat situation, like real life, where you can't hear anything and you don't know why, from trauma or things like that. I've literally felt that way in real life, so I know exactly what whoever
oh yeah.
did it that way knew exactly what people can feel in those kinds of situations. It was just so incredibly.
Having been a big fan of the books beforehand, I was on edge, just waiting for him to say the line "Fly, you fools!" And then when he did, everybody's like, "Oh, he's gonna say run, you fools!" And I'm like, "I'm not. You know, they better not." And then when he said "Fly, you fools," I was right there with it. I that was a very cool movie theater experience.
Right?
Absolutely.
That movie gave me the chills, man. It was amazing. Very
Even with
few movies do that anymore, you know?
even with the couple of things they changed, I'm like, I get it. I'm still mad that they did the things they did, but especially in the later movies, with the tossing of the dwarf, I'm like, seriously, that was just, to me, that was like
Oh yeah,
when Michael Keaton's Batwing went up and did the moon thing just
oh
to do
yeah.
the moon thing. I'm like, seriously, do you think we're like 8 years old here? It was just like kind of
It's
insulting.
E.T.
You know,
Um,
they have had some good movies come out since, but I don't think the production has been the same, or people are
Nobody has
that
put
much
that
into
kind
it.
of love into a movie in so
Uh,
long. I
I did
mean,
like the
just
GI
I
Joe.
agree.
A lot of people hate on him for various reasons, but I went into it thinking this is not going to be my GI Joe, and I expected a different story, and that's what I got. So I wasn't that bothered by him as a lot of people are, but I'm a GI Joe fan, so I was just happy we got movies.
Right?
well,
I don't like media hype on movies. I just go like you used to, the old days. You saw a trailer, it looked interesting, you went and saw it, and you weren't that critical of it. You just had a good time. That's my thing.
I'm no longer a fan of trailers because I've seen too many of them lately that I'm like, oh, I already know how the movie's going to end. You know what I mean?
That's kind
Or
of true.
or like you're watching the movie and you're going, oh, that one scene now that I haven't seen yet. Now I know what's going to happen because I saw the commercial, the trailer, or whatever. It's like,
Oh yeah,
oh, that really cool scene they kept showing is going to be crucial, and they basically spoiled the ending of the movie for me. So I one, I don't go to the movies that much anymore, and two, I don't watch any trailers anymore. Um, Mostly because I haven't seen anything come along in years. I mean, years and years that I'm like, I got to see this movie. The last time I literally said that was with John Carter, John Carter, Warlord of Mars, because I've been waiting my whole life to watch that, just like
oh
the
yeah.
Lord of the Rings movies. That movie, while it wasn't perfect, was freaking incredible.
Oh, it
And
was.
what
I thought it
and
was
what
cool. I liked it.
Disney did to make it fail on purpose was a crime. We got
Oh
so screwed.
yeah.
They went
I don't
out
like
of
it when people. That's the other reason why I'm not too big on listening to like reviews and things like that because I feel like it crashes a movie before it even gets a chance, and some of them are really really good. You
well,
know.
they had recently acquired Marvel and Star Wars, okay, at the same time that it was
Yeah.
coming out. And mind you, that movie came out on its 100th anniversary of the book being written. Think about that movie was written 1912, okay?
Wow.
Okay, that guy was so far ahead of the curve and just so far ahead of everything. And Disney knew that if they had hyped it the way they would hype Star Wars or Iron Man or something like that, since they didn't have their grubby little mitts in full control of the Burroughs estate and foundation, they were going to watch that franchise dwarf everything else just because it was so new. Most people, 99 out of 100 people, didn't know what it was. But then to go see it or see the commercials, you're like, what the hell is this?
Yep.
This is, from the Martians to the white apes to the humor and the ships. They were going to see that and just go, I want to know everything about this. They didn't even make toys for that movie.
Yeah, I
Can you
know.
believe that? Somebody made a bunch of Tarzan and John Carter action figures like 20, 30 years ago that sold like crazy. Okay. If they had done that in 2012 and made action figures, toy swords, and ray guns, and all the other cool stuff, you can find. I think I think Funko Pops made like the Green Martian guy. That was it. There was one company that made like a 12-inch or 8-inch action figure of John Carter that goes for over $100. Of course, nobody's buying that. But
Right.
And they did make 2 plastic swords that you can't find anywhere. But if they'd made the action figures, hell, T-shirts, coffee mugs, all that stuff,
Something.
they just said, nope, no commercials, no nothing. We fulfilled our obligation, with the Burroughs Foundation. You made your movie. We're good. We're done. And now we're going to bury it. And that alone was enough to make me never want to set foot in Disneyland. Mind you, I'm only a couple hours away from it, and I used to be a half hour away from it. I'm like, done. You guys ruined what could have been. And trust me, the market's big enough. It could have handled the Star Wars fans, the Marvel fans, and then the John Carter fans all dumping their money into 2012 merchandise, and no one would have been any worse off.
No. It's kind of sad though. The late early 2000s, they kind of just stopped doing a lot of marketing for movies, action figures, games. I mean, they were like everywhere in the early part of the 2000s, but right near the end of that decade, it just took a nosedive for some reason.
And then what they did, which was the biggest crime of all, and trust me, we're going to look back on that for decades, if not forever, was shutting down Toys R Us.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I hated that. That is so. Oh my gosh. I'm like, what? First KB's gone, now Toys R Us. What?
Yeah.
It was all because of this.
Well, that's true. That is true. I do like the Amazon.
Every kid in America and worldwide glued to one of these things than playing with, an action figure, playing ball, playing, skateboarding, bicycling. They want when COVID was at its thing, our local Walmart emptied the bike section and locked it off. You couldn't go in and buy repair kits, patches, chains, seats, helmets. It was just empty. They just went in, emptied it out so nobody could go. Fortunately, we were stocked up. My son was the only kid in his elementary school and kindergarten to ride his bike to school every single day, 9 years running. I would ride up with him, ride home, ride back, pick him up, and ride home. The only kid out of 1,000 kids at his school that would ride their bike and understand and know that freedom and that feeling. You guys all rode bikes as kids, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
You remember your first bike and being able to just go, later, Mom and Dad, I'm out.
Yep.
Yeah, the neighborhood I grew up in, that probably was not a good idea, but we lived, so
No helmets, no gloves, no knee pads, no none of that. Not only that, you could just drop your bike in somebody's lawn and come back and it would be there.
You fall off the bike and be like,
true.
Something? No, okay, we're put a Band-Aid on it.
that was the end of children being actual children instead of just another set of eyeballs glued to one of these things. And now I go down the action figure aisle. Every time we go to our Walmart, I know people.
Oh, I kind of cry actually.
Yeah.
Especially the Transformers. I'm looking at the Transformers going, I don't even want to buy those. I used to love Transformers. And the ones they got going right now?
Can't afford them, no.
No, the price is just exorbitant beyond what it was like during the gas shortage of the 70s and 80s. they're not meant for.
I
kids
was
anymore.
working when I got Transformers, so I was buying my own Transformers.
Right, but the average, 10 to 16-year-old that might still be wanting to play with that stuff, they go down the aisle with their parents, and their parents like $20. Nope, not doing it.
Right?
And then they started coming out with these little tiny ones, smaller than the old 3-inch ones. They're like army men with a couple of points of articulation.
Right? It's terrible. I'm like looking at them going, that's sad. I used to remember getting a big, 10-page instruction booklet on how to transform this thing from whatever it was to a robot. And it's like, now you're like 3 moves and okay, it's done. Oh, that's
right.
it?
I know. I used to have a bunch of Transformers when I was young. And I remember I had these little car ones that were about the same size as Hot Wheels, and they were really easy. Although I had a helicopter that was a nightmare. But, they're trying to make everything that tiny little thing, it's cool, I suppose, if you want to carry a couple of things in your pocket, especially like if you're a kid, then you're still playing with it. We want to sneak them to school. Okay, I could see that. But, we could do that with our Star Wars figures, our G.I. Joes. And now
well, like you said, that little tiny figure is like $8, and you're like, what?
Hey, they're 15. I live in California. They're 15.
Oh, dang.
Right. It's like the only toy that's out there that's still viable for kids that they can really get into, which, believe it or not, is the greatest toy of all time, is Legos.
Oh, I love Legos. You should see my collection.
My son was a year and a half. My son was a year and a half old when I got him his first Legos, and from that point on, his brain just started. I could just see the freaking veins in his head, just getting smarter and smarter day by day, learning problem solving, and creativity. Was there?
Let's see if I can get this guy.
You'll have to get with me and clue me, because I don't remember anything like that.
Lincoln Logs, but they weren't that interesting. Connects was okay. The new Connects is terrible. They shrank them, and it's like, what the? They're not even that cool anymore, and they don't do very many things like they used to. I don't know why they wrecked Connects. Because I remember making roller coasters and things out of my Connects. Anyways, I'm trying to get this thing here.
Kind of past that point, I was kind of more into girls and doing stuff I wasn't supposed to be doing, but that thing was a thing. All you guys out there that are dealing with bad weather,
here we go.
See, I mean, that blows away anything else on the market.
This is my big Christmas present this year. This is amazing. It's got the little bridge there. Inside is a tea ceremony.
I saw that in the store. I was like, this is what
Right, it's my newest favorite Lego ever. I love all kinds of Legos though. I got I love those 3-in-1s. Those are my favorite because it does more than gives you instructions for more than one Lego.
Right.
But I just started doing these blockheads, so I just picked this one up.
Jackie has a couple of those, I think. But yeah, I mean, if you do like what we did from the very beginning, we saved the box, we saved the instructions, and any paperwork that came with it, and he's got a wall of cubbies and those pull-out drawer things.
Oh yeah, I have all my instruction booklets.
It's super, super nerdy. Everything is color-coded. Bags of red, bags of blue, bags
I
of
just
clear.
started doing that with my Legos.
If you keep your instructions, because I was buying Bionicle for him, even though that was 10 years prior to him even being born, I think. But Hero Factory came out with the ball joints, and it was just amazing. It was a giant action figure, system that you could just snap together all these robotic action figures. They even did the Star Wars characters. We've got Grievous sitting there in the back. Absolutely amazing product. That if I were to take any one of those toys right now, go look on eBay and say it's complete in the box, played with, whatever, it's looking at 4 times the original price. And the only people that can afford that stuff or who do that are grown-ups. It's not kids. It's people wanting to get back to that nostalgia, which is right now one of the biggest driving forces in the market today. What do you
Yeah.
guys
Oh,
think?
I don't mind even getting off-brand Legos. Like, I got this guy right here behind me. That one took me 4 days to do, and that's a micro, some kind of off-brand micro Legos or something. So anything, I like putting together anything like that.
So what else do you guys collect?
We collect collections. Oh,
Yeah.
got a whole collection of collections. Let's see. I do Legos mostly. Chris does GI Joes, but I do mangas, and he does comic books. Yeah, I stopped doing comic books because I used to do comic books too, but I stopped doing it because one, they got really expensive, and two, they started being more like soap operas to me. They weren't like the Silver Age or whatever. They weren't the same. The comic
Mhm.
books that they have nowadays is just like
A little
you like
too
read the whole
serious?
book in like 5 minutes too. On top of that, you're like, okay, I just spent like
Yeah.
$20 on this comic and I read it in like 5 minutes.
I noticed that I was reading, I forget what it was, something, and I read it in less than 5 minutes, and I noticed the words, there were fewer and fewer words. Back in the old days, they had huge narration blocks and things like that.
Right?
But you know what I also noticed? Old comic books, like, for example, I use Kazar because I just bought a bunch of them, are cheaper. An old Kazar comic book, even a number 1, is cheaper than a number 37 of anything on the shelf right now.
Right?
Well, they're really trying to
And
push this
better
stuff.
read. They don't care about sometimes like that with Kazar there was some adult situations. Okay, and I'm just like, holy crap! I mean I actually rebought it because I didn't want to go looking through my collection of thousands of books to find it. I'm like, I'll just buy it again. It's like $3 for number 1. Okay, cool. I actually bought 1 through 5 together, and I'm like, oh my god, did they just do what I think they just did out in the jungle? They were him and Sheena or Shauna of the jungle or whatever. Did they just do what I think they did? They just faded to black on me. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I'm like 13, 14 or whatever it was, and didn't think twice about it. Now I'm like, yeah, they're not going to do that in a comic book now, are they? They're kind of, or if they do, they're actually going to show you stuff or whatever. And I'm just like, that was really well done, and yeah, yes, Zabu was awesome, and actually Kazar was getting it on with Shauna and trying to hook up with the bird lady, and in the space of like 3 comic books, he was with like 3 different women. I'm just like, you man whore. But yeah, if you guys get that urge or that craving, just go back.
Yeah.
Back to the old stuff. It's freaking cheap as hell. Now, mind you, you're not going to probably get mint 9.9 condition, but do you care? You know what I mean?
No, not really. If you're wanting to read them, no. I like getting like my favorite thing to do, and it's hard to find them nowadays. But when I was starting in my collection, we used to go to like Sam's Club or Costco, and you could get like that big old random grab bag of like 20 comics for like $10.
I've never seen that.
Really? Oh, I used to get them all the time. It'd be like 20 comics, and you get it for $10 at like Sam's or Walmart. And I got a lot of very interesting comics that way. I got my first
3 and 5 packs, but that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they had huge ones, and it was the one thing that my mom didn't mind buying me. That was what she would consider kid like or whatever. Anyway, so because comics you can sell them for a lot of money, I guess. Anyways, but my first Daredevil came out of one of those, and I didn't know Daredevil was blind until the end of that comic, and I fell in love with Daredevil too. I was like, oh my gosh!
Daredevil is one of those sleeper classics that most people just kind of brush off, but you know what? There was some good stuff in those. But yeah, and you know, Eve, I noticed that like I bought one of my prized comics was a Conan #1.
Oh,
I bought it for like $56 when I was working at a shop. They said, "Hey, Conan #1 came in. It's not mint. It's like very fine. You know, it was some good. It was up in the upper categories, right? But not perfect, right?" And I'm like, yes. I even had to take payments out of 2 of my paychecks to be able to afford it at the time. And I looked it up, and it's like around $500.
Wow.
wow.
Okay,
Like Conan. It's one of my first comics was a Conan, and the oldest one I had was 16.
1977. Do you guys remember that year?
Yeah, vaguely.
No, I can't.
Okay.
I was 2.
Okay. In 1977, we got John Carter in comics. We got Conan. We got Heavy Metal Magazine. We got the Micronauts. We got Star Wars.
Yep.
Going into a comic book shop as a 10-year-old boy was like dying and going to heaven, because I literally went to this place called the Land of Ooze and Oz, and since then they've sort of branched out. They're kind of almost like a chain of comic book stores. And I was going to the very first one in I want to say Garden Grove or Huntington Beach, California, as a youngster, going in there and just literally going, yeah, ooh, ah. I mean, it was literally, there was so much great stuff. Eerie and Creepy Magazine, which I wasn't supposed to be getting. And then a couple years later, I discovered Vampirella, and then it was on.
I don't blame you on Vampirella. I really do not.
The artwork was stunning. The black and white artwork, to me, surpasses all other comic mediums. If they do black and white right off the bat, I'm gonna appreciate it more, because they have to work harder. And I've noticed that if you've ever seen original art before it's colorized, you're like, oh yeah, they ruined it, didn't they? It was
kind of. Yeah, that's how I get my mangas are black and white. You get them all black and white, and you get to really see the artwork in it. And the other reason why I like mangas over comics is the story ends. The artist goes on to another story arc altogether.
Yep.
But now you have the comics. I mean, come on. How old is Spider-Man again still?
I was just talking about that, like Batman, Superman, they're cruising up on 100 years. But what I like to use that is in all that time they've not died, except Superman, and he went to heaven, came back, blah blah blah. But
dude, I remember when that happened. It was like a big thing, and people were running to the comic book stores when they heard that came out to go get that. I'm like, seriously? That's sad, guys.
I actually was working at a shop, and I picked up 20 sets of everything, because I know later on down the road, I'll make some money. I did the same thing with a lot of things. The Death of the Phoenix, I got 4 copies.
Wow.
But what I like to remind people is that, especially Dungeon Masters, it's actually more fun and harder to keep characters alive than to kill them. Not saying I'm going to give them, gimmies like in modern games where it's like you have to get permission to kill the character. No, I really don't.
I don't. I agree.
But think about it. All of the different ways and times. For example, I always use Batman. I mean, he should be dead. Okay.
I agree. Batman's my favorite, but I agree.
He should be dead. He should have died decades ago. And yet they still keep finding ways through writing creatively to let him get out of that situation. And
dude, Chris actually had a brilliant idea with comics. If they would do like based on the artist and the writer, put those 2 guys' name and go like, I don't know any of the guys' names, but so and so's Spider-Man or so and so's Superman. It would make comics, I think, that much more dynamic, because then you're like, okay, this is Superman, but it's this person's version of Superman, kind of a thing.
Like Bram Stoker's Dracula, the movie that was not Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking more like Doctor Who. You know how everybody has their own favorite Doctor Who? So it's
Okay.
kind of like that. You know, you go, this is this person's Superman, and this is this person's Superman, and this is that person's Superman. And I think it would make it more fresh and more dynamic and more understanding than starting the story over and over and over and over again.
The only problem with that I see is copyrights.
Yep.
You know, 'cause that's
It
a
would have
great
to-
idea. You
it'd
know,
have to be
if
through the same company every time. Yeah.
you know, like for example, you know, if it was Jim Lee's Spider-Man,
Right.
um, but it's not. You know what I mean?
No, it's not.
I to be honest, it's kind of like the issue with race swapping characters that I absolutely despise. Just
I don't
make
know
a
why
new
they even do that. They just make your own character.
because they can't.
I can't.
Evil cannot create; it can only destroy or mutate,
This is
and
true.
that's literally what they're showing us is they can't do it. I mean, how weak is that? Mind you, I have a lot of black friends, and
Oh yeah.
they're just as furious about it
Oh
as
yeah.
we are because like, can you not come up with something that's not, you know,
the same.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject. Yeah, we all feel the same. We all feel the same, man.
that's not that's not
Hi,
relying on current certain issues to make them in part of other little communities as well, and come up with something completely original and believable and something to look up to.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I could write a character of any race. I could create an incredible character of any. You can give me a random, uh, ethnic group or whatever. I can come up with a brand new character that would be, I'm not going to say it was, the best thing ever, but I could come up with a pretty decent, enjoyable, inspiring superhero or character from scratch before I'm done with breakfast if I really put my mind to it. And
I
they just
agree.
do it. Most of us in this hobby could probably come up with a brand new character that would be better than the dribble that's being pumped out in TV, movies, and comics without really trying. And we're
I
seeing
think
less.
being a
less
game master really helps with that, or even just a role player in general. It gives you that spark of imagination, and if you use your imagination, you can run with it.
Exactly, and we're not getting that because
Nope.
the people that are in the industry are fresh out of college with no life experience. Think of all the amazing things that the writers of the things that we loved actually experienced before they, first stepped up to a typewriter or, pad of paper and pen, all the actual life experiences. And I was thinking about that. That is the major difference between the great writers of the past and the hacks that we get saddled up with anytime we want to watch or enjoy what we are hoping to be a great story, and it usually turns out to be some sort of propaganda, some sort of ideology shoved down our throats in the
True.
guise of an hour or two's worth of entertainment. And I'm for the most part,
Right? It's like they take name brands or your favorite characters, slap some weird story to it, and say, "Hey, look, it's Batman" or whatever, And then you watch it and you're like, "That's not my Batman."
There are
Nope.
great writers out there, and the problem is most of them just look at the industry and go, "I don't want to be part of that." That's kind of how I am. I mean, I've written a few novels and I put them out there, but I don't think I'd want to be part of the industry if somebody was going to want to make a movie out of something.
Okay, this is a perfect time for you to drop some links for novels that if they're available,
they
drop
are.
them in.
Well, I have to
Uh,
look
We got Bad Company, which is an like an RPG. They're action adventure fantasy, and then Chris has a one that he's just done. Was a Dragon Patrol?
yeah.
Just came out again. It's dragons appearing in modern day, and he also has a post-apocalyptic one that's very interesting.
Really? Okay, I want links. If not here, if you can't put them in the chat for folks, send them to me on Discord.
I do have a lot of links on Discord for that. That's for sure. I don't know if the links will actually work in here, but I'll try. That's
yeah, I sometimes
that's
okay,
Horror Bad Company Chronicles. No, I didn't because it was too big. It looks funny though.
Okay, sorry, folks.
Well, do Lidharo.
So when you guys are playing,
Yeah.
what kind of characters do you like to run as a player, not as a GM NPC kind of thing, but as a player?
I'd like to choose a variety. I like to try to find a character or a race or a lifestyle or whatever that I have not played before. So I tried something different almost every time. I don't like to cookie cutter my character and try to make the same character over and over and over again. Or, I know there's some people who like that. They have a favorite character and they want to play that character all the time. And I get it. I really do.
As an eternal GM, I'm lucky if I can actually play the character I want in a game. This last year is like literally almost the first year I got to be a player in most of my, in like 40 years, let's say. Okay, when I was a youngster, I had a couple opportunities to be a player, but in the last 40 years, I have not been a player until I started playing online with folks like you guys and all our other friends out there in TV land. And I have yet to be able to play an elf, like fighter magic user, because everybody hates elves for some reason. I don't know where that came from.
Why? That's one of my favorite races.
Yep. I always end up going back.
I love elves. Elven Ranger is actually one of my favorites. I love the Elven Ranger. But in our game, I like Catman. Love playing a Catman.
I've got a race of, Thundercats inspired, kind of, Aslanish from Traveler. And if you guys remember, I think it was X1, Isle of Dread, or whatever that.
Oh, yeah, I just did a review on that, yeah.
With where there's a saber-toothed tiger being ridden by a cat person. I'm just like, oh my God, I've got such a great idea. And I ran with that 30, 40 years ago, whatever it was as a kid. And I just incorporated that, and it became the most popular race in all of my gaming worlds.
That's one of our most popular races too in our game is because you can play a Catman or like a Dogman or a Wolfman. Those are the two more popular animal people. But the other one that's really popular among our newer gamers is Dragonmen.
Yeah.
People love and we don't take our Dragonmen's wings away. We have Dragonmen with full wings. So
I've got a different take on dragon-ish humanoids, but I say that for that's kind of a top secret thing.
You don't have to use them. That's the good part about our system. We don't force. Referees can take the system and use what they want, and everything's house rules. It really is.
Oh yeah, we encourage people to take what rules they like, disregard which rules they want. We're not like we've never been rules Nazis, as it were. I know I've played with some gamers that have been like, oh, you can't run it this way because it's this way in the book. And it's like, okay, but there comes a time, that's why we have a ref, where this in the book doesn't exactly fit with what we're playing or what we're doing. So
the afterword of the Dungeon Master's Guide said it best. I'm literally getting it tattooed on some part of my body so that when they dig me up, centuries from now, and they find my shriveled husk, they'll see this, statement. Because it's that's what the GM's for. He's there to go, you know what? In this particular case, not calling a foul, and you guys can advance the ball 5 yards forward. Chris, what do you like to run?
Mostly Lidharo. Our game system.
No character. No, I mean what kind of character? If you get
a dwarf. I mean,
dwarf.
Back to an or cleric, and then I'm playing a cleric.
Dwarves. He likes playing dwarves.
I'm playing a cleric in GM Cody's game right now, which we do every other Sunday. We just had a game last Sunday. It was really fun, and we just started. We switched over to AD&D2E from OSE and Old School Essentials, and AD&D2E is just way better to run a game.
I keep hearing great things about that guy. I met him a couple of times.
Oh, he's awesome.
And he seems like a great guy, great radio voice.
Oh, yeah.
One of these days, maybe I'll get lucky and invited to one of his games. But right now, I don't even know where I could fit it in.
I know the feeling. I barely am able to get into GM Cody's game. One game, that's all I get.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, Cal. We know different. I don't even know what you mean by that, buddy. We know different about Cal being a player. Yeah. This last year and a half has been really amazing because, like you guys, you probably play with a lot of regular friends that you like grew up with, the same guys you've been playing with for decades or however long, and
couple of them, yeah.
And none of them are GMs, right?
No, but we taught them though. Chris used to, when we had our regular game group, he actually would have a separate day that anyone who wanted to learn how to run, he would teach them. We actually had DM lessons, seriously. And so we were actually teaching and we've had some of our gamers run games too. Like, we had one gal, she got into 3E and she started running her own games and that sort of thing. So yeah, we actually did teach our players how to run. We would call them DM lessons. And we would let them be the DM, and we would have our own mock characters or whatever, and kind of like putting training wheels on. Let's see how this goes or whatever. So yeah, we trained a lot of our players to be refs.
Yeah. So occasionally they still will, but most of the time it's me.
Right. So you know what?
Well, that's because you're amazing, dear. But I've refed before too. I don't do it online, but I've refed before too.
So you know what I mean by when you get to play online with this community of just phenomenal GMs.
Yeah,
or at least as good as yourself. Type of feeling where you're not you're with greats. You know what I mean? There are some great GMs I played out there with. And it's just a completely different dynamic, I really don't even know how to describe it other than, it's been a breath of fresh air.
Oh, yeah.
Especially knowing that, what I've learned over the last 2 years or so, when I GM for my regular guys, are like, what happened to you, man? They're like, what's up? I mean, where's our old DM? I'm like, yeah, that guy's gone, man. You got to deal with the Death Shadow now. I went to GM school, something like that, and it's not from like watching playthroughs of, some of the big people, Critical Role nonsense. No, I mean, playing with people who are out there in the trenches, fighting and striving to make this hobby and blah, blah, all that horse shit. Who've actually done the real work, perfecting their craft, trying to become better GMs, and the added benefit is they make great players, or they make really, really difficult players.
This is true.
That is true. That was one of the things that we were teaching our gamers too, though. It's like when you're reffing, it's a good idea to listen to your players, but don't let them run you over, kind of thing.
Right. Absolutely.
But not to be too stiff that your game is no longer fun. We've always had, and even in our new books that we read, rule number 1, have fun, because it is a game. It is meant to be a game. It is not meant to be this serious, I don't know. So we have some people that are like treasure hoarders or whatever, and they got to write down every little thing. It's like, well, you know what? That's fine for you. I'm here to have fun. You want to be like, have your list of whatever's on there, you can have that, but I'm just going to chill and have fun here.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys. I want to know. I want to know every copper in my collection, and I will tell you.
Yeah, but see, that's what makes it fun for you, though.
Well, the other thing is I will tell you, the GM, when I'm out of ammo, because I am counting every bullet and every arrow. Don't you tell me roll a die to see if I run out of ammo. Oh, I will leave the freaking table. It's like, no. Did I tell you I fired 52 freaking arrows all of a sudden? No, I fired one, Then I fired another one. They all have names. I miss them when they're gone. I don't look at my arrows personally. I want them back. If I can get them and pull them out of the dead orcs, I'm going to. I will clean them back up and I will baby them and put them back in my quiver for the next time. Don't tell me that I accidentally emptied all of my magazines in the first round of combat or some crap. No, don't even.
A good DM should get to know their players, and if your players are going to keep track of that, then you don't have to worry about it. Some players, though, you have to keep track of stuff like that for. But like you, I would know right away.
I try to instill. See, I'm a big prepper, so I try to instill those qualities of you better keep track of your stuff, because I am, and you never know when I'm going to tell you, hey, your math is wrong. What the hell? And if it's a big discrepancy, you're out of here because I'm assuming you're cheating. But I want them to understand that in the real world, if you are in a situation, you are going to need these skills to make it to the next situation, by counting your beans and your bullets and your band-aids. You need to know what that stuff is. You need to know how to use it. You need to know where it is in case of emergency. Because it may not be like a life or death emergency, but if you know where your band-aids are, you might not ruin your carpet because you cut yourself in the kitchen and now you're running to go get the band-aids that you think are upstairs when they should be maybe in the bathroom or somewhere closer.
Right.
Mine's under my bed. Oh.
So there are life lessons you can learn from being an adventurer that you can take into the real world, and that's I like to say that's where I got it, but it wasn't. It was my old man who was also a prepper and owned a gun shop and things like that. So I had to learn this stuff, in the real world and then bring it back to the game world. And now I like to help people learn that stuff in the game world and take it back out to the real world, because you never know. I mean, if you own a car, your car should have a whole bunch of crap in the trunk for an emergency. You never know. And
true.
Even simple things like water and a couple of snacks, first aid kit, your flares, your jumper cables, all that stupid stuff. I know so many people that have none of that in their car, and then something happens and what do? They pull out their phone.
Right.
Instead of, okay, I'm gonna see if I can't get a jump from a stranger, hey, hold up the jumper cables, they
don't encourage you to talk to strangers nowadays.
Right, because you're taking money out of the hands of some tow truck driver or AAA or something like that. When we don't have AAA in Utah. Well, I mean, we have AAA, but they don't do tow trucks at all. Really? That's weird. That's weird.
Yeah, we thought so too when we moved here.
I mean, because think about it, you could use one of your free AAA calls or whatever. Some plans give you like 3, or you can ask
3.
a complete stranger, hey, can you give me a jump? Okay, now I didn't waste $50. Hey, you get my car running, I'll give you $20.
Right.
Or something like that.
We came up here and they're like, oh yeah, well we don't do towing here for AAA. I'm like, well, what would I be paying for then? Oh, we still do the triptychs. Well, I don't go anywhere. So yeah, it's useless. It's pointless where we live to pay for AAA because they don't do towing.
They may have started it since we've been up.
They might have. I don't know. But they didn't before.
Take care, Derek. I will see you real soon. So I like to, keep track of stuff like that. Just because we
don't discourage people from doing that if that's what they want to do. But we're not keeping track exactly of every exact same thing,
I've seen this trend in new games where it's a die roll to see if you run out of things. Like spending your money when you go back.
No, we haven't really a little bit more logical than that. That makes no sense at all.
Yeah, well, you spent roll a die. What do you mean? No, I will tell you what I spend my money on, and if I can get out of it, I am going to. If I can bank my money, I'm going to bank it. I'm saving up for things, so I don't mind eating, microwave burritos for the next 6 months so that I can save up for this or that. I mean, we were all more or less in college eating ramen. We know what it's like,
Right?
but that was so that we could buy more alcohol on the weekend.
That's not what I did.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean, though.
I get it.
I bought toys and comics with my money.
Good for you. Good for you. That's the idea is that, there's a lot of mechanics out there that I'm like, what are you doing? And it's all part of the same thing of making our math skills weaker, making us more dependent on somebody else. Learn
Seems
the
like
same.
it.
True. I feel sad because I can't even memorize my own phone number anymore.
Right? Why? I never call myself, but I can tell you my phone number from when I had a rotary dial.
Right? When I was a kid, I can tell you my phone number from when I was a kid.
Because we used
You had that memorized.
But this one right here, I don't know what the number is.
Me neither. No idea. No clue.
And
No
I don't
clue.
know anybody else's number either. Because
Nope.
I don't use that skill anymore. More dependence on things. It's kind of weird how, the more advanced we get, the dumber we get.
Yeah.
I feel like that sometimes. Yeah.
I memorized my current phone number, but that's only because I have to put it in the computer all the time, and I always am giving it to people, and it's like, okay, yes, I have to memorize this number. But other than that, I don't know anybody's numbers. Not even my mom's. It's just right there.
Right.
We've been trained to not need to memorize things, and
Right.
that's actually not a good thing. How are we ever going to cast a spell if we can't memorize it?
Exactly.
Not that I do that, but the same, principle is there. It's just weird. It's just
Dude,
It is weird.
now I want to make a mage that has this tablet. That's how they cast their spells. They just go, whoop, there you go.
Yeah. I'm working on. I work with some other game designers on a couple of different games that I can't really talk about. But that we keep talking about that thing with memorized spells. The whole concept is kind of dumb. Do either of you guys play a musical instrument?
Yes. Piano. I played the piano. I learned how to read music. I can probably still read music and play it on the piano.
Okay. Do you have any songs memorized?
Right now, no.
Okay.
Maybe Twinkle
If
Twinkle
you
Little Star. Chopsticks.
Okay, if you brushed up, right? If you brushed up on
Oh yeah, I'm sure I could.
Okay, now let me ask you a question. Okay, pick a song. You don't have to give me a title, right? You memorize that song, right?
Uh-huh.
How many times can you play it in a day?
As many times as you want.
Right.
No, I agree with you on that with the spells. The way that Chris and I did, we don't have memorization of spells at all. We have spells that you know. And then you have a certain
first place.
Yeah, you have a certain amount of magical energy in your body that you can expel. That's how we do ours. Because we agree with you. Once you memorize the spell, I mean, like what? We used to say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning at school. I can still, to this day, do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yep.
Good for you. But it's all a matter of getting tired, correct?
Yep.
And tired is a measure of energy. I'm tired. I'm out of energy. Well, couldn't I just?
That's how we do it. We do we call them spell slots.
Well, couldn't I just, couldn't I just eat an energy bar, take a Red Bull, and now I've got more magic? I'm not tired anymore.
We do have the ability to do that. Actually, you can have a potion that gives you more energy. Yes, we do have that in our system.
As opposed to, I completely forgot the spell I just cast a minute ago.
Right. That's why level drain never made sense to me, because it's like, okay, you just learned how to do this and you level drained and now you forgot. Like, how would you forget that?
I totally get that. However, I'm an asshole, and I love the mechanic of scaring the living crap out of my players by saying, "You see 3 whites in the room," or you.
Oh yeah, we still have that.
Yes, you are going to lose levels, or you are going to kill them. or you're going to run. And I love that fear-inducing mechanic. There to
Oh, yeah.
this day, there is.
We have more assholey type things like giving zombies stone skins. We love doing that.
Well, we do have a form of level drain. We have permanent hit point drain instead of
like the Varghoulies, my favorite monster just about of all time. The Varghoulies from AD&D, I think it was Monster Manual 2. If they bite you, you lose 1 to 4 hit points permanently. The only way to get it back is a wish.
Yeah, or leveling back up.
Right, but you don't get the ones you lost. You just get new ones.
No, yeah, the same.
Right. So trust me. After the first encounter with Varghoulies, they memorized that exact sound those monsters made when they were flapping their way toward the party. Yes, we are still here, Mac, and we're going to go on for a little bit longer. I have some things to do, but normally the show is an hour. But because we have both of you here today, I'm going to extend it.
As much time as you need, Shadow. We're here for you.
I know you guys.
I'm good.
I can literally hang out with you guys all day. But
if you let Tyger get talking, she'll talk all day.
That's awesome. You guys should drop by some of the other live shows and vice versa. So we can actually talk and hang out more. Because that is like the greatest gift I was given in a long time was the ability. I didn't do YouTube or even watch YouTube or care. 3.5 years ago, it's like, yeah, every once in a while I'll go watch an MTV video. Just because it's like, oh man, I haven't heard that song in forever. I'll go check it up on YouTube. And my son has been doing it since he was born. And
my kids are addicted to the YouTube too.
And getting to meet people like you guys and Mac and Raven and Cal, of course, Cal was we had made our channel, and Cal and another guy was like, you guys, you got to go to these other channels and hang out, meet these guys. And if it wasn't for Cal and Grim, we would have just been making home movies and doing our thing and never met any of you great folks out there in TV land. So before we go, what does 2024 have in store for you guys? You got any big plans you want to share with everybody? Things that we can look forward to seeing from you guys?
In March we're starting a new campaign on Monday nights. On the first Monday, we're going to be doing our games once a month starting now. Actually,
okay.
We're adding a new campaign, and that's going to be Heroes of Haven's Run. And so we'll have a live game of a different campaign every Monday night, with military action game being the third Monday of.
I was going to say, is your mag going to come out this year or no?
I don't know.
You're still writing.
We're getting there. We're there. The game system is tweaked, and I think I just need to finish writing the book. So that's where we're at with military action game. Basically, GI Joe.
Yeah. It's GI Joe without the the licensing. That's it.
Well,
but it's an RPG, right?
Yes, RPG.
It's an RPG. It's a modern day type RPG. You can play military people.
Yep.
Okay.
But they also put like aliens, robots, monsters, that kind of stuff in it.
So kind of X-Files almost.
It could be.
Yeah, you can play X-Files, I think.
The referee can run it however they like. But that's why I said you could incorporate military, aliens, spies, robots.
Because I'm reviewing the old original Top Secret, and I'm going to go through all 3 editions. And I was amazed to see that little paragraph about adding aliens and robots and stuff like that. I'm like, they really should have done more with that. And then I found out that in 2nd edition Top Secret they did. I've actually had this weird hankering for less fantasy worlds and more like Earth games, even though that's normally the exact opposite of what I want. I want to see if it can be done, and if it's maybe I missed something. I'm not a big history guy, so it's
really been interesting. I'm not in that game, but right now they're on they're playing on Easter Island, and it's really interesting because they've been picking up the actual maps of Easter Island and putting it into the game. It's really been. I like watching it. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to play in all of Chris's games because that's too much. But I am playing in all the fantasy ones. Plus, he probably is going to make me do miniatures here soon again.
Hey, like I said, if you need any tips on painting, you can go check out our early videos where I was basically teaching my son how to paint, and he's now better than I am when it comes to some things. The old man still got some tricks up his sleeve, and he just doesn't have the time. But if you're ever need any help with that, if I can't help you with it, there's other guys out there. I was looking at that, Mac. Would be more than happy to give you some advice, especially on products that will up your game or at least make your life easier. You know what? I'm going to write that down again, Mac, because
what's that brick thing that with the walls that we've got? I always forget.
Warlock tiles.
Warlock tiles.
Oh,
yeah, we use warlock tiles. Those are fun.
I found since I started doing my YouTube channel, that I have less time to watch other people's channels. But I do try to get over to everybody and check them out. And sometimes I
have to limit my social media because I have an addiction problem. So no, I'm serious. Chris remembers when Facebook first came out. I lived on Facebook, like literally, like I didn't do anything else but Facebook, and it was mind blowing because one day I'm like sitting there doing my stuff on my Facebook because everybody was doing it, and then I'm like, wait, what the heck am I doing? Because I was ignoring my kids, I was ignoring everybody, I was just right there in Facebook, and I'm like, okay, so now I have to quit, and I quit Facebook altogether. So when Chris wanted to start the YouTube channel, I was like, oh, I'm a little leery about that, honey, because I got that addiction problem. I don't want to spend all my time on this. So I limit how much a day, period, that I do on social media at all because of that. Because I can get sucked in and be just that and nothing else. I ignore everything around me. So.
I don't do the social media thing, but I always have a YouTube video playing, at least, instead of the radio, because like I was telling Raven the other day, I've heard
using it as background music like a radio is fine too. I don't mind that, but it's just like if that's all you're doing, you're shutting out the world to do this. I have to be careful.
No.
Myself.
I meant like Facebook and Instagram, that sort of thing. I just don't do it. My friends are here in YouTube world. Well,
it turned into a very toxic environment too. Everyone's just bad mouthing and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to. I don't like the way that feels. And I don't like as Chris is like, if we're gonna do this channel, Chris, I don't want to be a hater channel. I don't want to say, oh, I hate this, I don't like that. I was like, because we do the movie reviews on Fridays, and I was like, I want to say what we loved about these things. Let's pick movies we love to watch, and let's tell everybody what it is we loved about these things. Don't do any of that. Oh, if we have to say anything bad about something, we're like, oh, I don't care for it. That's it. That's like the worst we can say about it.
And move on.
Right? Yeah, move on. I didn't care for it. It's not my thing. That kind of thing.
Yeah, there are quite a few.
Because somebody somewhere loved it.
Yeah, exactly, Mac. Social media brings out the worst in humanity, and hate and negativity that sells more than the positive stuff out there. So I'm going to embrace the challenge and try to be more positive than last year, which that's going to be a stretch, but we're still going to try to help make people's lives better as opposed to
that's what I want to do. It's like I want to inspire people. I want to get people inspired and to go out there and be friendly and be nice to each other. When we were kids, we were encouraged to do that, and nowadays it's like people are encouraged to hate, and it's like, no, that's not. That's how our society is going downhill because of it now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's weird because there are a lot of people out there that don't mind, and you know what? Real quick, thanks for reminding me, Cal. Go and look at Dungeons and Lasers terrain. If you like Warlock tiles, Dungeons and Lasers does it better. You got to do the work though. You got to, it's like building a model kit. You got to cut them out of the sprues, sand them, file them, paint them, all that. But oh my God, we did some dungeons made out of them. You can look at our first dungeon video or our first starship video, things like that, and see what these tiles can do for a lot cheaper.
Oh, dude, I mix and match. So what I have this big, huge miniature board that we got from Dungeons and Dragons, actually, big, huge, and we spent the money. It was really expensive, but we spent the money to laminate it so that we can dry erase on it. So I'm using that mixed with the Warlock tiles and then a mishmash of all these different brands of miniatures.
Okay.
All these different brands of miniatures. So.
Yeah, I looked at the Warlock tiles and I'm like, one, they took the fun out of it by painting them for me, and two, I'm paying top dollar prices, so these kids in China, can get 10 cents a day to paint and take the fun away. So I'm not doing that. I used to do Dwarven Forge.
Well, I got them before I decided to start painting my miniatures again. So.
Well, if you are, especially if you like the idea of, painting the furniture and the bookshelves and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I just recently purchased a tavern set too. It has like all the stuff you find inside of a tavern. Mm-hmm. Cool little set I saw.
My son and I, we actually, when we started the channel, we did a lot of the crafting, actually making that stuff out of junk. Oh yeah,
I made some stuff for Chris a lot of times too. I would make them out of cardboard, all kinds of little plastic things. Yeah, whatever you can find. I used to do that too. Recycle little things just to make little furniture and stuff. Yeah, I have done that before too. It's actually kind of fun.
It's actually not only fun and resourceful, but it's very relaxing and a hobby unto itself. And you just have to be careful, because if you, like me, you end up with a garage full of bins of junk, and people look at it and go, "What is all this garbage?" No, I need that. Because you have plans for that particular thing.
Yes, I have to be especially careful because I unfortunately live in a house full of hoarders, like literally. So it's really hard for me to keep anything. I'm like, am I going to use this? No, throw it out. That's my philosophy, because I have a house full that I have to walk around all careful sometimes. It's like, oh no, I don't like it.
Yeah, I need to warn you, Shadow.
She puts on that mask, and she likes to talk.
Sorry. Am I talking too much? I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Not at all.
This is my bravery mask. Okay, it's my mask of bravery. If I didn't have it on, I'd just be staring at you guys, going, yeah.
Okay. No, it's actually kind of a cool mask. I like the way that you can actually
move the job. Oh, I found this at Walmart in the Halloween section, and I fell in love with it, but I needed it to be my style, so I painted it. See, has my stripes. I painted that myself, so
that works. That's really cool. But yeah, I do have to get running. This was a great time talking with you guys and seeing all your friends come over here to hang out as well. That I really, hope you guys will actually come back one of these days. Maybe we'll do a part 2 one day. But before we go, is there anything you guys want to, any links or things, places you want to send people to, see your stuff? Because you guys are.
I think the two biggest are the YouTube channel and the Discord. I put both of those in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to make it to biggest. I've got a game. I usually try to drop in. They were actually the first channel that I was ever a guest on, and I try to pop in at least to say hi. But my game is my Tuesday night game with Bloodworth is earlier and earlier, it seems. Which is good because that means it lasts longer and longer. But I'll try to see you guys over there tonight. I don't know what the topic is. But yeah, I was really impressed when I first met you guys.
We do guest on Spine Ticks every once in a while.
Yeah, that's a good channel. And
I've never heard of that one.
I gotta go on there sometimes.
They got to comics and cards and they're just like hanging out and having fun.
They do RPGs.
Okay, send me a link in Discord. I'll go over and sub after I take care of this thing I have to take care of.
All right, Shadow.
You guys,
Thank you so much for having us.
you guys impressed us so much when I first saw your channel. Like, these guys are going to go far. I want to get to know them and be able to call them friends. And I look forward to all your successes that you're rightly due, because I know you guys got, you know, that magic going on, which includes a tremendous love of this hobby. So from all of us, thank you. You guys have a great day. Don't pop out. I want to talk to you after what we call the after party. Everybody else, thank you guys for I have Sactus. Thank you guys all for showing up and playing along. We love you guys. Oh, that's epic. Great way to end the show. You guys
I
have
can do this one.
day out there. We'll see you tonight. Well,
Unless
actually,
I can do it.
maybe I'll see you tonight. I'm not doing a show, but I'll be after Bloodworth. We'll see whoever's live, and we'll, you know, pop in, that sort of thing. Otherwise, you see me over on Gatekeepers with Jade from Jade's Tabletop Tavern. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's a nice little panel show that we do on Wednesday nights at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. Otherwise, as always, folks, love you guys, and happy trails.